Hello everybody. I was going to give a presentation that was heavy on slides because I've never made slides before, and I thought now that I work for Microsoft I should try it. So I made this slide. I'm very proud of it. I expected a better reaction to this. So I'd like you to live tweet this presentation. I'm at Sarog, and the hashtags are ICTEDU, and the @ is, or the Twitter handle is ICTEDU as well. If you're not on Twitter, you really should be. It's probably the best way for everyone from a newly qualified teacher to a long experienced industry professional to get your message out there and to communicate with people. You don't have to tweet what a lot of people say is the downfall of social media, meaningless things that no one cares about. You can tweet just your opinions in education and you'll find someone to listen and disagree with you no matter where you tweet from. So what I wanted to focus on today is that a lot of the presentations that I saw last night at the Teach Meet Sassy, which is in this room, and a lot of the presentations on the walk, and nearly every workshop, focuses not on the traditional curriculum, including the ones that we're still developing for digital media literacy and the junior cert and the coding short course, and all of these curriculum which are vitally important, but really they're identifying and filling a skills shortage or a perceived skills shortage, possibly from up to 10 years ago. So there's a life cycle that you all know about as educators, where a deficiency in the outcoming skills and the learning outcomes and all that stuff is identified, and then we spend years coming up with the perfect syllabus and curriculum to fix the problem. And by the time it's actually rolled out, and by the time the students have actually gone from identified problem to going through their primary and secondary education, and then finally going on hopefully to third level study computer programming, all we have got is a long-winded way of making them hate ICT and computer programming. And wouldn't it be better to embrace the undercurrent of the maker culture, which we see in Coder Dojo, we see in those after-school clubs that you post about in the necessity list all the time, we see in the Makey and the Leg one, that whole approach to, well, if there isn't a syllabus, I'll go make one. And, I mean, we have Paddy there with his rockets and all sorts of mad stuff, space cadets, literally. And we have, everyone is individually, probably in this room, is doing something to progress the ICT and the innovative maker culture in their students. But you're not following a curriculum, because there is no curriculum there for you to follow. Now that will change in time, but by the time the curriculum has finally caught up to where you are, it'll have all changed again. I was at a presentation last weekend where a company in Dunleer, the best small town in County Louth, which is also the best county in Ireland, he's got MCOR, they're a 3D printing company, and they have a 3D printer which they sell to businesses, they don't sell to consumers yet. 20 grand, they give you lifetime supply of blades and paper, or not paper, blades and glue, and you put in 3 reams of A4 paper and it cuts a shape out of them and glues it as it goes, and you have a full colour shape by the end of it. This is incredible. I mean, can you imagine having that in your classroom? But I know teachers, Susan Etienne in New York, was at the Scratch conference in Barcelona last year. She couldn't wait to get home because the 3D printer for her art class was waiting for her to unpack. How many of you here have a 3D printer? Surely some of you do. Hands up. Someone's got a 3D printer? I know my local school has one. That could be beside because they're beside the 3D printer manufacturer. No? Okay. So wouldn't it be cool if you could 3D print in your classroom? Is there any class that wouldn't benefit from that? Now there's a little echo here because I'm on this and this. I don't know. Is it upsetting anyone? No. Okay, so I'll keep going. So what I wanted to do today... Take that away. Will I take this away? Is that better? Yeah. So what I wanted to focus on today is, I asked last night what I should do, and I know it was in the pub, and Mary Loftus and various other people said, don't do slides, Stephen, that would be terrible. You've never done slides. We wouldn't understand it anyway. It'd be cruel and unusual punishment for you. So instead, show us how to do something. So I want to focus on, I have a little app here which is free, and it's called Project Sienna. And when I go out and do demos from primary school, secondary school and up to third level, I did this demo I'm going to do for you now with FIT, the students who've been out of work and want to get back into education and are doing a computing course. This goes down really well. I've only got one other demo which is more visually impressive, and that's making of the 3D games you saw on the walk. So I'm not going to do that, that's for the workshop later on. But this is different. This is taking content like your news feeds. So every morning you open up your web browser, or you open up an app if you've got a smart device or mobile device, and you look at your news, okay? If you're a news hound like me, you'll check Irish Times, Irish Independent, the RTE, you'll check them all. Now, they all have repeated news, and that's okay. The challenge you give to the students is, wouldn't you like to be able to make an app like this that pulls in all the different feeds? Maybe it's about your GAA club, or maybe it's about your school, but it's a news app with the content that you've identified. Now, I'm not going to do that for all of you because you're all from different schools. I'm just going to pick RTE, and I'm going to make a news app for RTE. I'm going to make it live in front of you. And that will kind of go some way towards explaining why I have pictures of Eileen done on my computer. But the main focus of this is to say that there's no programming here. You probably thought when I said I'm going to make an app that I was going to break out Visual Studio and start coding in C#. And I do that demo, but usually it's with Seamus's students who are computer programmers. I know there's some computer programmers here. I know there's some Scratch experts here. This is easier than Scratch. Okay? So let's make it. So here is Project Sienna. It starts off very blank. It's a white canvas to go starting. And I'm going to add widgets. A widget is just something I can see on the screen. And by the way, if we've any visitors here who don't know what RTE is what the BBC would be if we lived in an alternate universe. So we now go in and we say RTE News. And the colour logos, and I know this because I asked someone, are blue and white. So I can actually go in and say the colour of this text should be white, but the fill colour should be blue. And again, you'll see I haven't done any programming, and please stop me if you see me programming. So, RTE News, headlines. Now, again, I am actually going to have at the end of this an app I could publish in the Windows 8 store. I will not publish it because RTE would sue me because I don't own the rights that Eileen done, even though I have pictures of her on my computer. Now, so, I used to work in RTE for my student work placement when I was in DCU, and I wrote the software which plays ads on Radio 1. I apologise for this, and I have apologised many times. Now, so here we go, image. I'm going to add an image. Where are you, Eileen? Don't see her there. Maybe we should go on to pictures, that would be better. So this PC, pictures. And there we go, Eileen done. I knew you were waiting for me there, Eileen. Okay. So here's a picture of Eileen I procured earlier on. And again, I don't own the rights to this image, and I don't claim to either. But our app so far, if I actually hit a 5, there's my app running. It doesn't do anything. I mean, if you sold this app, you wouldn't get any money for it. But there you go. There's Eileen. She's going to present us with the headlines. Now, so to do this, how do I get the headlines into my app? And this is probably the hardest thing I talk to with the students. I say, out there on the internet, there's lots of data. You know, what's data? Well, he's a guy in Star Trek. And what else? And when you talk about how this information is being published by the content providers, such as RTE and the Irish Independent and BBC, and they're all publishing this. And they publish it in different ways. And one of the ways they publish it is an easy-to-access form of headlines, which contains sparse data. It just says the headline, a bit of a description, the day it was published, it might say who wrote it, RTE don't give you that, and then finally it gives you a link to the website where you can read the rest. This is called RSS data, really simple syndication. John Herfman last night spoke about Aaron Swartz, and it's exactly, he was part of the group that came up with this idea. It's a really easy way of just publishing content. So all of you who are, who's got a blog? On WordPress. Okay, if you do /feed at the end of your WordPress URL, it gives you an RSS feed ready to go. And you didn't even possibly know that. So you already have an RSS feed. So I want RTE's RSS feed. So while I was waiting for you all to come in and the bell was ringing, I went and got one. Now, how I got that, I'll show you. I simply went down to RSS feed. I pasted in the feed. How did I get that? Well, I went onto RTE's website. There's a little logo. You've seen it on every website that has news. It's orange with a little white dot in the corner and then arcs coming out of it. Click on that. And it gives you this little URL here, Uniform Resource Locator. And we copy that, we import the data, and there's our data. So it's a link to the web page, the title, and the description. So when I come back now, I want to display those headlines, which are going to be different every time I run this program, assuming our conference internet keeps up, which it has been so far. I'm on the Coder Dojo now. And we go in here and we select a gallery, and it's going to be a text gallery, very simple. And I position this over here. And you know, most of what I'm doing here is deciding how it should look. So when I click on heading, well, first of all, before I do that, I say where I get the data from. So I select RSS1, and then over here I select my headline, and I select what it should display. So I say title, and you can see that man due in court over a fatal Kilkenny something, thousands take part in darkness into light. So I already got the headlines pulled in. I think maybe next I'll pull in the date. So I don't know if you can see that, it's a little bit bright, hopefully you can. And then finally the description. Now I'm going to reformat this now, so it's easier to read. So at this point I have complete control over how this is displayed. So I'm going to change maybe the template padding a bit. There we go. I'm going to move things around to make it fit better. I'll move that down there, and then I'm going to decrease this. So what I've got now is a more, hopefully, readable. So I said that before I accidentally moved something up. There we go. And now the date, this font here, I think I'll make a bit bigger, and you can see I have complete control over how it looks. Maybe a little bit smaller. I'll make that bold because it's the headline. The colour, I think we'll go with the colours we were talking about earlier. We'll go with a white colour but a dark background. And again, I'm not programming here, am I? I'm just selecting the colours. This is about as hard as PowerPoint. So we click here and we're going to line it on the right. We'll make it red, a nice red colour. And we'll keep going until we have, now again, you would have different taste than me. I'm no visual designer, I fully admit that. In fact, I didn't have to tell you that, obviously. And we can end up with an app that looks the way we want it. Now, I might do that for that as well. So, when I press F5 now, I've already got a scrollable, and I haven't done any programming yet. So I can see that the Aer Lingus cabin crew vote for industrial action. I can see the date it was published, and I can see a little bit of a description about it. Now, again, I could go in at any point and say, you know what, I don't really want the date in it. We're going to assume that they're the latest headlines. I'm going to delete that date, and we're going to make the rest fill up the area like that. And it's ready to run again. So I'm actually running that as an app on Windows 8 right now. But we're not finished yet. Eileen, she's great, but we actually need to see the news story. I need to see the story I click on. So I want to add in, and this is the hard bit of coding. Are you ready? Okay, brace yourself. Computer coding ahead. I wanted that if I click on either the headline or the description, it opens up a web browser, internet permitting, that shows that story on the RTE website. That's all I want to do. But that's computer programming. So I click on the headline, and down here, I don't know if you can see it, it says on select, which is hard computer coding speak for when this is selected. So I click on that, and brace yourself, here's the coding. I want to launch a web browser. The command to launch a web browser is launch. I can't spell. Open a bracket and then link, because the link was provided to us in that information from RTE. And they called it link, and I didn't rename it, so it's the link. Okay? So that's the computer programming done. Okay? As you can see, you are now, if you've learned that much, an elite hacker. And you'll now click run, and I'll click on that, and it opens up a web browser. And if we've internet, there we go. And I can close that over, and further sanctions against Russia. And there we go, further sanctions against Russia. Maybe we'll go down here, and oh, there's been a fire report. Hope no one left anything on. There we go. Okay. So, I wanted to change it though, so that if I just click on the story, it does the same thing. Can I do that? Of course I can. I can go in and affect the behavior of everything. But I just want to, before I do that, I'm going to show you that I can add other widgets. So I can add a little button over here. And I'll add this down here. And I'm going to name this button About RTE News. And I wanted that if I click on that button, it opens up a new screen in my app which has information about this app and RTE News and who Eileen Dunn is and all that. So I can add more screens, so our screen 1 and screen 2 now, very imaginatively named. And I can add more information here. I can add video players, audio players. I can take a camera input. I can take a picture of you. Pen input. If you have a pen-enabled device, you can write in it. Toggle switches, radio switches. I have the whole gamut of things that you can use in a computer program. So all we're going to do is put a back button though. So we'll put a back arrow to go back. And I'll say, when this button is selected, navigate back to screen 1 using fade. So can you see that there? So I don't even have to type that in. It fills it in for me. So if we run now, and I press this, it should fade back. There we go. So I want to say that the RTE News button should navigate to that screen. Again, you select navigate, drop down menu screen 2, and I'll use a different transition. We'll cover. So we press F5, and I can press RTE News, and there we go to our new screen, and back again, and open up our new screen. And you can have as many screens as you like with all the information. So why did I show that? Well, a lot of the talks I give are about enabling young people, both still in education or returning to education because their chosen career has hit a downturn in the economy for whatever reason. And they're picking doing something in ICT because there might be a future in that. And there's many people in this room who have similar experiences. Having the ability to show in an interview a portfolio piece is critical. And lots of people will tell you now, you don't go into an interview without a portfolio. And that portfolio could be a website about what your achievements and things you have. It could be links to the events you've participated in. Or it could be an app. Imagine how powerful it is for a graduate to be in an interview and to be asked, well, what's different about you? What makes you passionate about computer programming? And say, well, in my spare time, even though it's not part of my coursework, I make apps. Well, okay. Now, they might ask what type of apps. And you say, well, I play for my local, I don't know, chess club, and I made an app about my chess club. It doesn't really matter what the app was about. I made an RTE News app because I love RTE News. It doesn't matter. It's the fact that you made it, and you can take out my tablet and I can show you the app. That's powerful. That's saying, I'm inspired beyond the traditional coursework I had to do, and I went and made something a bit above and beyond, and here it is, I can show you, I'm passionate. Usually that would involve having to be a computer programmer, but that app is actually finished. If I own the rights to ID done, and I don't. But if I did, I could publish that app. There's one button click and it gives you a published package ready to go, and you submit that to the Windows 8 store. It takes about an hour to be approved, and then you're in. And then you can charge, you could say this app costs, €1. I wouldn't, because I don't sue me, but you could say that. And it gives you those toolkits. You can actually add in advertising, whatever else is you want to add in. I don't have any here. But what's important for me is that it gives this to you. And if you are a programmer, it'll give you the source code so you can go work on it. So it's not a closed environment where, it's a black box, you can't really see what's in there, just press the buttons and it gives you something out. No, you can open this up and have a look at the guts underneath. So I'm going to show you just one more, if I can see it. So I have a friend, and I've shown this app a few times, but the app is Quizzy in Ireland. If you've Windows 8, please download it. It'll help my download stats. I don't get anything for that, but it just makes me feel good inside. And Quizzy in Ireland is an app I made in my friend's kitchen. He's a lecturer in DIT in culinary arts. His name is Dermot Seabury, amazing guy, because he spends all his time taking photographs of this amazing food that he can cook that I can't, but I do like to eat it. And he then puts them into cookbooks, and he won the Irish Times Cookbook of the Year recently, and he's going for the World Cookbook of the Year. And it's, well, I'll tell you the name of it in a second because it's very hard. It's a culinary journey of the Northeast where we're from. And I was over in his house because he makes good food and he has lots of wine. And he told me that he had gone for funding from County Louth. They have these different funding programs, and they really liked his book, but they said they weren't going to fund him because he didn't have an app. And he approached a couple of people about getting an app made, and it's big money to hire a programmer to make an app, this, and we programmers, we cost lots. And I thought, well, I've got the laptop in the car, and I've just gotten Project Sienna. Do you have the pictures in a way I can easily put in here? Yeah, he had them on USB memory key. So what format do you have the recipes in? Oh, they're in Word format. Okay, so I was able, the hardest bit was to copy all the images off his computer onto mine, or off his memory stick onto mine. So that wasn't hard. Then this bit was a bit tricky, opening up the Word documents and copying and pasting the recipes into Excel, because Project Sienna uses Excel as its database. So once I'd done all that, that took about, that took half an hour of copy and pasting. And then we made this. So the entire time of the work I'm about to show you was less than 2 hours. And this is the finished app. And this is in the store. You can download this from the Windows 8 store now. If it makes you feel hungry, I'm sorry. I believe there will be lunch later on. You can scroll down and say, oh, I like the look of Bellingham Blue Brulee with broccoli couscous. No, I don't like the look of Okay, so let's go up to Boyne Valley salmon, the best salmon there is. Fionn McCool ate American salmon or Lurgus salmon, that was the end of him. So anyway, oh, there we go, yeah. So it gives me the ability to look at, it gives me the ingredients, tells me to gently saute, I don't even know what that means, dip each rib in, get 1 teaspoon of peeled brown shrimps, turn the fish, you know, it gives me all the instructions to do, and I can go back at any time. I can go in and say, well, let's have a bit of lamb rump, and then I can go in here and I can say about the chef, and it gives me all about Dermot. I just pulled that off his website, and then I can click this, and it'll bring me to the website to buy his book. So Dermot treats this, the app is free, and I made it with Dermot, we made it in the evening in his kitchen, and he treats it as, well, here's 15 recipes for free, but there's 100 in the book, including those 15. And it doesn't give you the option to buy the book and have it shipped to you directly, it just gives you the website, you can do what you like after that. He already had that infrastructure. So that's an example of an app you can make in Project Sienna. Don't please publish an RTE News app with picture volume done unless you own the rights, but you saw how easy it was for me to make that. So if you're not a programmer, and I know most of you aren't, but this is what I want you to take from this. If you're not a programmer, we understand that. But you do want to inspire your students. Wouldn't it be cool for them to come out at the end of the year with a portfolio app, and instead of a list of recipes, is a list of the projects they've made for you, or other teachers. And then when they click on it, it opens up with a picture of the project and a description. They'll make that in less than a week at the end of the semester or the term, once they have all the project work done. And that's a powerful thing they can bring home to Mommy and Daddy. And they can even stick it in the store for Granny in America or wherever to see. And I think that's very good. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Stephen Howell, and Microsoft would like to be here today. Please have a chat with Fintan. You can see him at the back of the room. He has a stand outside. And thank you all for listening. Cheers.